Statewide rent control. That's what we're talking about this week in real estate. Whoosh. All right, so this actually passed a couple of weeks ago, and I made a video right after it passed, all angry. It got realtors all upset. We're gonna march on the Capitol on Realtor Day, April 2nd, and rally the troops. They just ruined the real estate economy by passing House Bill 608, but I'm not gonna let you see that video. I've done some thinking, I've cooled off a little bit. There's some facts that have risen to the surface in terms of exceptions to this, and I think it might not be that bad, although I disagree with it in principle. I don't think that you can regulate rents when there is a supply and demand issue. I think if there's too high of a demand to meet the supply, or too low of a supply to meet the demand, you need more supply. So you don't fix the prices, you end up causing less people to get involved in offering rentals because they can't maximize their profits and they leave. So there was some initial angry posts on Facebook in my real estate groups, and a lot of investors, especially the bigger ones, were saying they're pulling out of Oregon. Why invest here when they can invest in other places where their income's not capped? Let me give you two things that the bill does do and two things that it doesn't. I'm not an attorney, so this isn't legal advice or a legal interpretation. This is me as a realtor telling you what I'm hearing and actually summarizing what the Oregon Association of Realtors has told us. Number one, this bill limits no-cause evictions. Now, what that means to you is if the tenant hasn't done anything wrong and you need to get them out of the house to evict them for a certain reason, you have to give them the 90-day notice and you have to pay 1 month rent in terms of a relocation expense to them. Now, a no-cause eviction would be for something like you're going to sell the house to somebody that's going to live in it, you're going to move into it yourself and occupy it as your primary residence, or you're going to do a major renovation or improvement to the home. You have a tenant there, that can't happen during that, so you need to get them out. If you're going to do that and they've been there for more than a year, then you need to give them a 90-day notice and give them 1 month rent in terms of relocation expense. The second thing that you cannot do in this is raise the rent by more than 7% plus the CPI, which is the Consumer Price Index, let's call it inflation. So 7% plus inflation, you can't raise the rent more than that in a 12-month period if they've been in the home for more than a year. Now, that made everybody mad, right? But here's some exceptions that may not make this such a terrible idea. One is that if it's new construction or a home that has had its occupancy certification 15 years or less, so it's a 15-year-old home or newer, it doesn't apply. And if you are a landlord who only has 1 to 4 units of rentals that you own, then it doesn't apply to you either. So the smaller mom and pop or places, you know, if it's grandma's retirement, she bought this old house and has sat on it and she's on a fixed income and that's, you know, where the money she's getting, they've made exceptions for those people. So it does affect the big investors, the apartment owners, people with multiple units. But those people are kind of on top of their rents anyways, so I don't see them being behind on raising the rents. I see them kind of being regularly involved, and so that 7% thing shouldn't be a huge issue. Realtors argued on that point that if you haven't raised the rents in 5 years or 6 years and you want to sell it to another investor who's going to raise the rents to the market rate, you can't do that. You can only go 7% per year, but I think that only happens to somebody that's only managing a handful of units, and I don't think we're going to get into that. So I'm not going to show that video that I recorded. It's been over a week now, and I ranted and raved about supply and demand and why the urban growth boundary is permitting us from having enough rental units available. I'm not going to do that because I've had some time to think about it, and we'll just have to wait and see what this actually does to ruin the real estate economy, or does it actually put some stability in the rental markets, and then those people can move into homes? That's what we want to do as realtors. That's our entire mission statement. We believe that the American dream is to own a piece of America and buy real estate. And so there's a huge gap in wealth between those that rent and those that own homes, and we want to get as many people into those homes. That's what we're doing to control supply and demand. There's a high demand for people that want to rent. We're trying to take those renters and make them into homeowners and fulfill the American dream. So that's what's going on this week in real estate. If you've got questions on this, you can comment below or message me directly. If you don't like this idea and you've got a rental that you want to sell in the state of Oregon, call me. I'd be happy to help you. And that's it. Thanks for watching.